It's hard being back here, knowing my father is no longer in his room. Making this documentary was all about finding answers for his mental illness. I feel like he passed the torch for me to continue the journey. My father wasn't violent in any way, and sadly, when we see the violence of people that are allegedly mentally ill, we equate it to what we think it is. But my father was far from being violent. He was kind, loving, caring. And a lot of times, when you hear the stories of those that are severely mentally ill, there was probably a time when they were too. So how did they fall through the cracks? And how can we help them before something else sadly happens again?
911, what is your emergency?
Yes, there's shots at Stillman Douglas. Somebody's shooting up the school at Stillman Douglas.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What's happening?
Somebody's shooting up Marcus Stillman Douglas.
Someone is doing what? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Marcus Stillman Douglas High School is being shot up.
It's being shot up? Are you at the school? I can't hear you. Are you at the school?
Okay. So unfortunately, our society does not pay enough attention to the emotional well-being of our nation's youth. This is certainly a big problem, and it hasn't diminished over the years. And actually, I see the problem even getting bigger.
Hello, my name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds. I think I can get done. Location is Stone Douglas in Parkland, Florida. It's going to be a big event. And when you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am. You're all going to die. Pew, 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 pew. Yeah. Can't wait.
The FBI released a statement regarding information provided to our public access line on January 5th of this year. The caller provided information about Nicholas Cruz and the potential of him becoming a school shooter. Under normal protocol, this information should have been provided to the Miami field office. There, appropriate investigative steps would have been taken. The FBI has determined that protocol was not followed. The information was not provided to the Miami field office, and no further investigation was conducted at that time.
I think the number one thing that has to happen is to educate the public as to what's happening in our school system and the fact that there are not any programs of early mental health intervention. For example, in the Parkland shootings, everybody wanted to point to Nicholas Cruz and the police visited his house 30 times, and there were all these warning signs, so on and so forth. My point there is we didn't get to him early enough because high school is too late. Middle school, barely in time. I can guarantee you that Nicholas Cruz was showing some signs of mental illness in elementary school. That's where we need to get these kids.
You go to the hospital, the doctors clear you, and you're talking about demons. What are the demons?
Voices.
Well, tell me about it. What are the voices about?
It's another voice, the evil side.
Okay. And how long has that voice been going on?
Years.
Okay. When did it start, you think? When your mom passed?
It started, worse when my mom passed.
Okay. Did it start how many years before your mom passed, do you think?
When my father died.
Okay. Did you ever tell anybody about the voice? Never? And what does the voice say to you? Well, what does it tell you to do?
Burn, kill, destroy.
Okay, burn, kill, destroy what?
Anything.
Parkland was such a devastating and unfortunate series of events, but it's a great example for what prevention could mean. The reason for that is because after that shooting, what you saw was an entire country changed. We're still changed because of Parkland. You had all of these grief counselors come rushing in, all of these clinicians that had to be called in, all of these legislators. The country basically shut down to deal with mental health and wellness on that day. But what it didn't do was deal with mental health and wellness before the shooting. We failed, not only the Parkland students, but we failed that individual student who ultimately became the shooter because he cried out for help. The other students cried out for help.
I was in the Parkland area providing crisis intervention at the sister middle school as well as at the charter school. And I was talking to the youngsters, and so many of them feel afraid to go to school. And we all saw that in the marches. That they have a right to life, and it was called the March for Life. And so if they weren't anxious before, their level of anxiety has ratcheted up dramatically. And if you're an anxious student, it's very hard to learn.
And that is why it is so critical to be able to reach these children, to be able to reach them early. What the non-mental health community often doesn't realize is that most mental health diagnoses or most mental health conditions occur before a child is 14 years of age, before they're 14. And so that means if you can reach a child in elementary school, not only because you recognize that they're in trouble, but if you can tell them about what to do in the event that they do become in trouble, automatically, not only do they access resources, but they become a resource. They become a resource to one another, they become a resource to their families, and they become a resource to themselves. The severity of their diagnosis can be lessened. The intensity of their diagnosis can be lessened. The types of interventions, whether it's medication, can be lessened. Whether it's the amount of time that they are required to be in therapy in order to get the healing that they need, can be shortened. These kinds of things can be beneficial to entire communities, not just from a mental health standpoint, but from an economic standpoint as well. And I think, unfortunately, we have to talk about that aspect. Because for so many people in this capitalistic society that we live in, that often is the thing that catches their attention, your bottom line. You want kids to sit in class and not have those truancy rates, not have those conduct problems, not have the absenteeism, not have all of the issues that you don't realize tie back to mental health and wellness. Do the prevention. Do the easy work on the front end so we don't have to do the hard work on the back end. Because as we say in counseling, it is much easier to heal a small child than it is to fix a broken adult.